Hi, I'm Marissa Dietz, and today I'm excited to introduce my book, Intuitive Depression: Living in Alignment, which discusses how we can move out of depression and into alignment with the truest expression of ourselves. I began writing this book while I was working as a probation officer, and at that time I'd often take walks during my breaks at work so that I could get out of the office space and be outside in the fresh air and around nature. And on one particular day, I was walking outside of the courthouse that I used to work at. And I remember I was right in front of the jail when I began to notice that the plants on the ground and the tree branches overhead had a healing energy that was emanating from them. I could both sense and feel the energy, and also had a sense of knowing of what it was and what was going on. And I remember looking up at the sky and just noticing what a beautiful shade of blue it was. And the thought came in that it was a healing color, that just by looking at this shade of blue, there would be a healing component to that as well. And it was in that moment that I was given this idea. It just literally flowed in to write a book about using our intuition to overcome depression. Because at that time, I had been going through depression, and I had been going through processes that allowed me to begin to work my way out of depression. And it was the perfect timing, looking back on it, for me to begin writing this book, because everything was so fresh in my mind. All the processes I had been using on myself to elevate my mood, to get rid of negative thinking and things along those lines. And this is an important element because I could have never written this book after the fact, after I had completely come out of depression, trying to remember all the processes and details and what the experience felt like. So there's the unique benefit of having this book started, and a good portion of it being written while I was currently still experiencing depression, but at the point where I had come very far out of it already. I was just working my way out of the remnants of it. And then I spent several years refining this book and all the information in it. So it also contains all of the wisdom and what I learned along the way after the fact, after I had completely risen out of depression and become depression free. So both of these two perspectives combined make up the information that's contained in this book. And I think that's really important, just because it's like the firsthand experience of someone who was in the trenches. And I get you, I know how depression feels. It is such an incredibly challenging, painful, and difficult process to navigate through. A lot of times we don't have a roadmap. We don't know where we're going. We're just trying to keep ourselves on the surface where things feel okay-ish, because otherwise, if we don't do that, we are feeling the depths of depression. We're feeling the true darkness of it, and it is a very dark place to be. I experienced depression for many years, and I remember there was this phase where I hadn't yet admitted to myself that I was depressed. I thought I might be, but I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to give myself that label or fully admit that that's what I was experiencing. I tried to chalk it up to me just having a lot of really bad days and constant low mood, but not to the point where I would be somebody who was depressed. And it wasn't long after that that I had to admit to myself, finally, that I was depressed. I struggled through major depression for several years, and so I can relate to those of you who are also feeling the lower emotions of depression, the depths of it, because it is a very dark and challenging place to be. It's also confusing. A lot of the times we don't know how we ended up there. How did we get to be depressed? How did we get to be in a position where we're constantly feeling low mood, stress, anxiety, just so low, out of energy? There's so many different uncomfortable feelings that go along with the label of depression. And adding to the problem is, first of all, we're here and we already feel low. We're already hurting, we're suffering, we feel miserable. And then on top of that, we don't know how to get out of it. So we're dealing with like two things at one time that are challenging. One is the feelings, and the other is not even knowing how to get out of the feelings, how to feel better. So I wrote this book to be a guide, a resource to help those of you who are experiencing depression navigate your way out of it and begin to feel better. And this is based on my own processes and experiences and what worked for me that helped me navigate my way out of depression. So as somebody who has been there, I totally get you. I understand how you are feeling. I understand the depths, the daily lows, the feelings of I don't even want to necessarily be here anymore experiencing this reality because it feels so bad and it feels so low just to exist. I have been there, and it is not a fun place to be. This book lays the foundational framework for better understanding your emotions, thoughts, feelings, and inner guidance so that you can achieve greater alignment in your own life. It can be used as a resource that you can refer back to and that can support you in different aspects of your life. This past year, my aunt passed away, and as I was going through the grieving process, I found myself relying on a lot of the tools and processes and information that I had learned and acquired while I had gone through major depression. So the same tools and things that I used to navigate depression have also been helping me through the grieving process with my aunt. For instance, I recognize when I'm going down the rabbit hole of pessimistic thinking, and I'm able to stop that and to alter my path and create a new course, a better emotional and thought process. And it's also helped me recognize that the sadness that I feel is true, but it's also just a surface emotion. And that the true emotion, the core emotion that I recognize as being present is the love that I have for my aunt. And that's important to not get caught or stuck in what we perceive as this emotion we're feeling and thinking that that's all there is to it, because often there is something behind it. That's what my experiences have taught me. When I was going through depression, I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't know the way out, but what I did do was begin to rely on my intuition. I began meditating and listening to my own self, my own inner voice. And although it was a difficult process because there's no magic pill, there's nothing that just instantly takes you out of depression. It's not like 1 second we're depressed and the next we're depression free. It is a process of coming out of it, coming out of the mud, coming out of the darkness. And as we do, we begin to find and realize that we in fact have an inner light, an inner guidance system that is guiding us and showing us the way. In life, we want to feel passionate, excited, and joyful. And when we're going through depression, we are not experiencing these things. And that's what's so hard about it, because these are the driving forces in life. These are the emotions we want to be experiencing. These are the emotions we want to be feeling. And depression feels like the exact opposite. In hindsight, and with the 2020 vision of someone who navigated their way out of depression and became depression free, I can now see all the incredible gifts that depression offered. Although it did not feel good along the way, we are actually learning so many valuable things that we will take with us for the rest of our life through experiencing depression. And a lot of this is what is contained within Intuitive Depression Living in Alignment. Going through depression myself and the constant emotional turmoil, daily confusion, and feeling so low that at times I didn't even want to exist, I wrote this book to help other people find their way out of depression like I did. And it's something that is so important to me and such a big part of who I am and the message that I have to share, because not only going through depression, but I feel like having had a lifetime of experiencing difficult emotions, emotions that constantly fluctuated into different degrees, being able to learn from what didn't work and what I didn't prefer and what I didn't like, to then choose what I do prefer, what I do like, and learn processes that help me to feel my best, to help me to feel joy and excitement on a daily basis now. It's just very important for me to share that with other people because I know how it feels to struggle. So this book is meant to help people experiencing depression move through it quicker while acquiring foundational tools that will not only help you navigate depression, but also life. From my experience, sometimes we have to go through the darkness to find our own inner light and our own inner strength. When we go through depression, we undergo a transformation. It's a dark night of the soul, but it can have the most profound benefit in that it can lead us to our truth, to our authenticity, to become the greatest expressions of ourselves. Sometimes we have to go through the fire, we have to go through the darkness, and we go through these processes and they begin to refine us. We learn how to work with our emotions better. We learn tools that we can use, techniques, things that will continue to support us throughout the course of our lives. So in that regard, depression, which seems like it is this dark thing, it can actually help bring us into the light and give us gifts beyond what we could acquire through any other process if we allow it to, if we use it to our advantage. And when we come out on the other side, we will be in greater alignment with ourselves. And that is a huge gift. Take it from me, I am someone who experienced the depths of major depression and has gone from not wanting to exist, not being excited, not being able to feel the emotion of joy, to someone who today is depression free, who experiences joy, excitement, enthusiasm, and passion on a daily basis. I am here to tell you that it is possible and to give you that hope to know that things can turn out okay, that they will turn out okay, and there is a way to get there. You are not stuck in the darkness, and it won't last forever. It was difficult and challenging to go through it, but I am grateful that I had the experiences that allowed me to develop the tools that now I use to better navigate my life moving forward. You can get your copy of Intuitive Depression Living in Alignment online at Amazon.com or through any major book retailer. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be sure to leave a link for the book below. Wishing you joy and many blessings along your journey.